Hello, and welcome to Allegheny County Library's Let's Get Lit. Well, this is where we talk about exciting titles so you, our patrons, can know what to read next. We will be talking about hot new titles to the library and also still burning titles, which may be older but are ones we have loved. Let's Get Lit is available in video format on the ACLS YouTube as well as in podcast format on Apple, Google, and Spotify, so you can subscribe for updates when we release new episodes. Let's Get Lit will be bi-monthly, and we would love your feedback as we do this. Contact information will be in the description as well as at the end of the episode. Any titles mentioned will have links to our catalog in the description as well. Now, let's get lit.
I'm Allie.
I'm Shane.
I'm Liz.
I'm Kate.
And today we're going to be talking about children's middle grade titles that we love.
Kate is a guest. Would you like to start?
I will start because this is my favorite genre. It's what I like to read. So it was really hard for me to narrow down to a reasonable amount. Yeah. And I decided to choose ones from like the past 10 years, not all of time, because that is a whole nother couple podcasts. So I'd like to start with the best book I read last year is called Fighting Words by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. She has written, and Liz will talk about, some really good historical fiction for middle grade, like wonderful. Everyone should read it, not just middle grade age. This was a bit of a change for her. It is a contemporary book told through the point of view of a 10-year-old who promises at the beginning of the book that she's going to tell us an entire story and that some of the parts of the story are hard. And it is hard. It deals with child sexual abuse, which is very important. Everyone that works with children should read this book. Kids should read this book because it makes it very approachable and not so taboo. Do not let the serious subject matter keep you from reading this book because you will not leave the book feeling depressed. You will feel energized and inspired. It does such an amazing job of broaching such a hard topic, including also the foster care system and drug abuse and just pretty much every tough topic. But it is, I was talking with an elementary school librarian, and this was her favorite book last year. And she thinks also everyone should read it.
I think people tend to think middle grade is like silly all the time and doesn't.
It's still just Nancy Drew. And,
yeah.
But it's an incredible genre to read.
Oh yeah.
Adults
I think
should not
sometimes
discount.
It's better at handling situations than adult books are.
100%. Because it makes it so much more approachable. It almost makes it a toolkit for kids.
Yeah, especially if you're just getting into reading for yourself around that age. It's good to see and read about experiences that you might be facing and a diverse set of life experiences helps. I wish I had read more at that age.
I wish that, you know, when I was a kid, you kind of went from the easy books straight to like, there was Judy Blume, and then there were just like adult. There wasn't a whole lot of in between. YA was not a section at the library. Chapter books were, but they tended to be a little more hit as many tough topics.
Yeah.
But there is no shortage now.
I wish I had more of a bridge between the two because whenever I was young, I read like my first loves were like Indian in the Cupboard and Roald Dahl and stuff. And then I went to Frostburg State soccer camp and I got to go in their college bookstore and see all the magazines. So I discovered Heavy Metal Magazine and that opened up a whole new world.
I was going to
me.
ask if you went straight to Stephen King.
I wasn't. No, that was high school, but or middle school. But,
yeah.
Heavy Metal Magazine really opened a lot of doors for me.
I bet it did.
Probably shouldn't have been open. I guess I will say that if I was going to talk about something that was middle grade that I think adults would also enjoy, that would be the Hilda graphic novel series from Luke Pearson. These are like, I think, 5 graphic novels and then 1 or 2 novels about a girl named Hilda and the adventures she gets into. They're kind of like a Scandinavian feel, clever writing about fantastical creatures inhabiting your daily life. Books get longer and better as they go on. They don't deal with as much heavy subject matter as, more of the juvenile fiction that I'm going to be talking about later, but they are a lot of fun for all ages in that you can find sympathy for the mom. She's a single mom raising Hilda and all the crazy stuff that she brings into the house, size adventures that the kid gets into that kind of infects the rest of their lives. Like there's a continuity among all the books that really makes you appreciate what happens in each one. Size books that have really great showcase for the really good art. Great bedtime stories, you can read them in chunks. Great time for everybody.
I feel like a lot of middle grade deals with the single parent aspect. It is
Or
today.
other family members raising
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
aunts, uncles, grandparents.
One that I read last year was A Ghost Squad. This girl, her family has this talent where like she can see the ghosts of her family members. And though some of them have died kind of tragically, you get to see that she interacts still with them and like they don't feel bad about it. And it's just one parent is raising her as well. And the ghosts in her family are under attack. So she has to like team up with them in order to like figure out
There you go.
what's going on. But it's fun. There's like a wacky like grandma in it, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Those are just like a witchy, wacky grandma. It's just my favorite trope in middle grade, and it's just about like connecting with family even after grief, kind of hope, and it's just fun too. So
That's a big theme in middle grade. They deal with really hard topics, but they're hopeful books.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're
It's very
inspiring.
matter of fact about any hardships. It's just like this has happened.
So
What
we're
now?
going to deal with
Yeah.
it. And
And
we're
it's-
going to deal with it in helpful.
It's not
A
like
healthy
we're
way.
going to simmer in all the emotions and all that. It's just like,
But you're not going to ignore it. It's a
Yeah.
part of your life. It's going to continue.
Right.
But you move on
yeah.
and make it better.
Should we go on to Neil Gaiman?
I was going to say along the line of ghosts. Do you want
The Graveyard Book. It's about that. It's about
It's
Bud. He's an
tragedy.
old boy.
Yeah, tragedy.
And he loses his family and the cast of characters that he meets in the graveyard who protect him and keep him
they raise
safe.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's raised by ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't go outside the graveyard because Jack, who murdered his parents, is still looking for him.
Right.
But it's still funny.
Yeah,
It is.
it's
And it's still,
It's
yeah.
a very light raised by ghost story. It is also a great graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
anyone has a reluctant reader, that's a great way to ease in.
Great gateway.
Yeah,
I think it's a great gateway to gaming, too.
Very true.
To introduce you to his writing. Because I think if you jump into, like, Nevermore, right off the bat, you're not used to that style. It's a little off-putting, but if you start with his middle
middle
grade
grades
and,
are
like,
incredible.
work up.
So I have two more books that are a little deal with the heavier topics, and I have two books that are just straight for pleasure reading. The next two both won the Asian Pacific American Award for Literature. One is a little more contemporary. Front Desk by Kelly Yang is set in the early 90s. It's placed in Anaheim, California. An immigrant family lives and works at a hotel. The parents clean the rooms while the daughter, who's 10, works the front desk. It's a heartwarming book based on true events in the author's life or people she knew. Deals with immigration, deals with racism, but again is very heartwarming. And there's a sequel, and then I believe a third one just came out. So this book is for anyone who enjoyed the Little House books as a kid or an adult. The author, it's by Linda Sue Park. She wrote it because she was a huge fan of the Little House books, but it is sort of a response to those. It's, as she puts in her author note, it's she wrote it as an attempt at a painful reconciliation dealing with some of the topics.
So it's like updated.
It's an updated version. It takes place in the 1880s. The main character, Hannah, is half Chinese and half white. Her mom has passed away. So Hannah and her father, her mother, who was Chinese, has passed away. She and her father, who is white, moved east, leaving San Francisco to the Dakota Territory to run a general store. She's a seamstress. She learned that from her mom. Fans will find homages to the Ingalls family, and there's even a character modeled after Nellie Olson. But it recognizes and acknowledges the issues of racism and colonialism. This is just a really lovely updated
What was it called?
version. It's called Prairie Lotus.
Are fans of Percy Jackson, anything like that, the mythology aspect? I know Percy Jackson's kind of like the big name, and there's this constant, I feel like, need for something similar. Carrie and Mama and the Kingdom Beyond series is fantastic. It's still ongoing. The first one is The Serpent Secret. It is very reminiscent. It follows Indian mythology. There's really great aspects of like science theory mixed in terms that like kids can understand and that I can understand. There's aspects of it that are kind of, I guess, a little mix of horror, but not super scary. Everything's really balanced well with humor. Some of the Percy Jackson series is kind of known for having kind of like this slapstick humor and serious subjects, and this does that as well. There's like monsters that like burp in your face, and it's fantastic. Who doesn't love a burp joke, honestly? Just really fun. I love the characters. I love the different monsters that we meet. It's nice getting to see the different mythology. I think we always see kind of the Greek mythology, and this is something new and interesting as well.
How many are there?
There are 3 out right now, and she's coming out with a 4th one that I think is more YA based, so they're kind of like stepping stones. And they're also great to listen to because the narrators do like voices for the characters.
To talk about the graphic novel Be Prepared by Vera Groskull. Have you read that, Kate?
Yes. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it is good. It's kind of like a fish out of water story about a girl who recently immigrated from Russia to America. She's trying to assimilate into the white middle class area. And she goes to a Russian summer camp to try to find friendship with other girls who fill out a place. I really liked how this told a story about the immigrant experience from an uncommon perspective.
Definitely.
There's a lot of, again, hard truths in the book.
Yeah. Growing up.
Yeah. That I think could be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
The artwork is, there's a lot of green in it,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love that. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, I think I remember reading about why that was.
The experience of going to summer camp doesn't look like one that I would ever want to experience.
Especially an Orthodox
Yeah.
summer camp.
Yeah, we're a lot of Russian history.
Yeah.
Um,
Tradition.
yeah, very clicky, but that's the thing. She goes and it's not refined.
matter.
It's middle schoolers being middle schoolers.
It is.
She has
It
to overcome and kind of figure out what she can bring to the table, which she's very artistic, and she finds a great way to express that. I'd highly recommend it if you like the Ring and Telgemeier stuff.
Coming of age and awkward.
Yeah,
It's a very awkward age. Yeah, very truthful.
right.
Anyone can relate.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fantastic middle grade graphic novels. The Lumberjanes is
Oh,
a
yeah.
favorite. The
Mhm.
Backstagers.
Roller Girl.
Witch Boy, and I think that's a series, and then the creator of Witch Boy is doing a new one that comes out in June that looks really good about, I think, like a mermaid or something.
Sure.
But yeah, they tend to be, the Lumberjanes is like my favorite.
Yeah.
I own most volumes of that.
And Lumberjanes is great, but I feel like it's still undiscovered. Like it's got so many volumes, but it's still like I still have to tell people.
It is a little
Yeah.
I don't know if we have
underutilized.
most of them, and I've seen them mixed in with the teen area
Yeah.
Right.
before, which I would not
Right.
categorize them as teen.
Right.
Another summer camp
Mhm.
that has like magical things going on, but it's about like the power of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some more like there's some science things mixed in, some art things. So there's a lot of different themes that happen, but they are just so fun.
Yeah, they're like Steven Universe-esque humor
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
But we have that beautiful hardback collection of I think the first 3 volumes. It's a J. You should check out Fantasy Sports by Sam Bosma. These are graphic novels that are exactly what the title promises. There's sports, contests that have to do with fantastical elements, and a quest that a young mage goes on, and they are incredibly engrossing worlds within each book. They really are fantasy first and sports secondary. Characters have powers that allow their athletic abilities to surpass others, and It's all done really well with hugely expressive panels within the comic. These are also books that are huge. I don't know what it is about me. Big books. But yeah, we have 2 of them in the system.
The word that saved my life.
The only reason I'm not talking about that one is because I let Liz have that title.
It's historical fiction set in England during World War II. Children are sent to estates in the country and homes in the country to stay during the bombings. It is just so heartwarming.
It is wonderful.
What happened to the young girl who was treated so badly by her mother.
Yeah, I think with the evacuations, a lot of times it was really hard for the families because they were separated.
Mhm.
In this case, it was the best thing that ever happened to this poor girl,
Right.
whose mother,
What would be considered abusive.
horrible abuse.
Yes.
Horrible abuse. She was born with a clubfoot.
Right.
It was never addressed. She was just seen as an embarrassment. Escape in the middle of the night. The mom wasn't going to let them go. It was the first time she'd ever left the apartment. And that's in the first couple pages.
And that's when her life starts.
Mhm.
The best parts of her life.
Yes. And it was a Newbery honor.
Stars by Lois Lowry deals with the Holocaust.
Another historical fiction.
Yeah.
I would say that.
And I'm always
I think
drawn
that's
to
a
historical
classic.
fiction.
I would say that's a classic at this
Yeah.
point.
I have one that I think could be a classic middle grade
What's that?
that I think people of all ages enjoy. The Girl Who Drank the Moon
Mm-hmm.
is, I think that may have won
It did win.
some sort of award as well.
I believe it was a Newbery.
But it is fantastic. I buddy read this with a bunch of adults and we loved it. It was one of my favorite reads. I think I read it 2 years ago now and it's stuck with me since then. It's dark at times, but it's touching and there's little bits of magic and it does deal with some like abandonment type things, but also kind of like blindly trusting in like a system that does not work. And I just think that it's great for all ages. I was sobbing at the end.
Oh no.
But it was like funny moments mixed in with that, but like as an adult you understand the consequences of what's happening a little bit more than you would as a child, and I was just like, no, this can't be happening.
Right.
But the fact that I like fell in love with like dragons and whatnot to that extent. Again, another crazy like grandma figure, magical grandma figure. Love it.
I have 2 more books that are just straight pleasure reads. Echo by Pam Munoz-Ryan is a book that it would be preferable to listen to the audiobook because music plays a huge part in this book, and in the audiobook you hear the songs they're talking about. They weave it in. I have also read it and it was wonderful. If audiobooks really aren't your thing, but I would recommend the audiobook. It tells us 3 stories, Friedrich, Mike, and Ivy. They're all preteen age. And they all live in different times, places, and circumstances, and there's a common thread that ties them all together, involving music. It's one that you will fall in love with, and it'll stick with you. The other one is just a delight. It's the Penderwicks series. Penderwicks reads, it's a very like nostalgic read. It feels like an old-fashioned book that's been refreshed for modern times, like Little Women or a Anna Green Gables. 4 sisters, their widowed father. The first book is called The Penderwicks, A Summer Tale of 4 Sisters, 2 rabbits, and a very interesting boy. It follows this family of four girls, their dad, their dog, and their neighbor Jeffrey. And there are 5 books total in the series. Each book, they get a little older and it progresses with them until the last book, they're all adults. And it's just a pleasure read, 100%. Last year during quarantine, my mom read all of them in record time because it was just so soothing. It was such a lovely series. And a lot of people who want more of that, and there's only 5 of them, the Vanderbeekers of 141st Street is another delightful family book. There are 5 kids in that book, 2 parents, a rabbit, a dog, and a cat.
You can listen to that on our YouTube.
You can. You can hear me read the whole book.
For those who do not know, Kate does a chapter a day on our YouTube. So you can follow along for chapters in different middle grades throughout the month. And summer readings coming up, so you can put them on your reading log.
Yep. And there's, we've done several now. So as they're released, it's a chapter a day, but the other ones you can just
binge
flow through the whole thing. We've done Because of Winn-Dixie,
A Boy Called
A
Bat,
Boy Called Bat, which is
and currently on Wish Tree.
Thinking about revisiting the Redwall series, which was a big thing for me.
Stop it.
That was the most
My brother and I
popular
just started those books
Really?
again. We're doing childhood
I
book
have them
club.
all, but I just
Yes.
in storage.
They've
No,
been
and I
so
have the graphic
popular.
novel in my purse.
Always.
Like, that's so funny you said that.
Do they hold up?
Yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful, and there's a whole series.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like Allison doesn't like them.
I did not like
Arguments,
them at all.
great podcast material.
I hated Redwall with a passion.
They were the only books my mom used to have to bribe my brother to read. That was never a problem with me.
Yeah.
And they were like the only series that.
I'm surprised I didn't like them because it's the animal aspect.
And it's
Not enough
fantasy and like, yeah, I guess there's not enough
There's not
grandmas.
enough grandmas.
They're a huge reason that I have a hard time with mouse traps.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
my parents had to bribe me. I got into them from the book club at
Mhm.
school, and then
Mhm.
the Magic the Gathering books I had to because I was really into the game, and that was my kind of gateway into fantasy.
Yeah.
Everyone can like different things.
True enough,
There's a book for everyone out there,
There
though.
is a book for everyone.
but we all like the Graveyard book.
Oh, that's unanimous.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, Kate.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll come
It's
back.
great.
Well, we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for Let's Get Lit. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. If you have any questions, suggestions, or want recommendations, please contact us either in the comments section, by giving us a call, or by emailing us at letsgetlit@AlleghenyCountyLibrary.info.